I've been asked multiple times, is it possible to design a website in a week if you're not a website designer? And a response to that is you can actually do it in a weekend. You just have to make sure that you're using an intuitive platform and you're following the steps that I'm about to deliver. This is going to be a short little YouTube video, but if you want to go through my full training, it's 40 minutes. I take you behind the scenes of all the things you're going to learn in this video. So I'll link that below. So if you're ready to launch a website that works for your business and you're wanting it to convert, because that's really the goal here, these are what I suggest you do. Number one, you have to set up your Squarespace website. What does that look like? Go on to squarespace.com and you're going to click get started and it'll give you some template options. That's a great place to start. I just say look for one that has the majority of things that you want or your business needs. So don't necessarily just search, template for photographer, because a lot of other photographers are doing that and you want your website to still be unique. So find a template that works for you, that looks good. You can always change it and have it evolve. The main message you're going to hear me say over and over is progress over perfection. Get it out into the world so it can start ranking on SEO, then make changes, update it, so on and so forth. So once you have your template, it's time to customize. With Squarespace, it's super easy. I'm going to flip my screen and just show you how you can easily drag and drop things around. So I just want to give you a really broad overview of the Squarespace platform. But once you have your template, the first thing to do is to go into site styles and figure out your colors and your fonts. Again, I do think having branding is really, really important. And so if you have no idea where to start with branding for colors and fonts and things like that, go to my free training. That is the first section of my free training, is how do you figure out a brand that's going to convert and look like you? So once you got that figured out, add in your fonts and colors. That's going to already twist that template to really reflect you. And then it's just drag and drop. So here's a text box. You can go add block, text, drag it wherever you want. And then, type in to it, change it to whatever heading style. You can change the color right here. Very easy. You can set a background video or photo for each section. So Squarespace is set up in sections, and that's done right here. Edit background. One thing I will say, if you're trying to get your website done in a weekend, is focus on the core 4 pages: your home page, your about page, your services page, and your contact page. I'm a big advocate of a blog. It helps with SEO, but you don't need to do that right off the bat. So Squarespace kind of usually comes up with these pages for you when you have a template, and they're under your main navigation. So if you have a blog under your main navigation, you're like, I want to launch my website. It's Sunday, I'm ready, but I haven't done my blog yet. Just drag it to not linked. No one's going to find it. So it's hidden, but it's still there. You can go in, you can make those changes later. One more thing I just want to say is if you are trying to integrate, Acuity scheduling, or you want to have 3 blog posts done, or you want to integrate a shop, it might not get done in a weekend. That's okay. Focus on those main pages. Again, home, services, about, and contact are what I suggest. Contact page, super easy for you to do. Really all it needs to have is some type of contact form. This is integrated in Squarespace. So when you add the contact block, so you can do like a form. That's what I have here. You can make it as, detailed as you want. It could just say name and email and the message. But this one obviously has, different types of like options, but you can change that all under the content right here, edit form fields. And then you could design it, but storage is where it's going to go to. Okay, so you have your branding, colors and fonts all in. You've completed your 4 main pages. Again, they can be simple. You can always add more sections later on. The next thing to focus on is making your website actually show up on search engines like Google. And so that is SEO. And although that can feel very intimidating and overwhelming, my advice, start small. So what do? You can go into straight up Google and just type in what you think people might use to find you. So painter in Spokane, Washington. And then scroll to the bottom of the Google page and you'll see phrases like this. That's a great way of figuring out what keyword phrases people may be using. Again, I'm going to link the 40-minute training because I go way more into my SEO process. And like, if you're like, I don't really need help with branding or website, I just need help with SEO, fast forward to like minute 20 or so of the training and you'll get my whole SEO process of what you need to do. So that's point two. And then a couple best practices just to think about as you're designing your beautiful website is, first of all, clear branding. So keep your logo and your colors and your fonts consistent, and if possible, get a branding photo shoot done. Again, just because it helps it to look all cohesive rather than pulling an image from this vacation and a quick one you snapped on your phone. But if that's not in the budget, that's okay. But it will help your website look nicer. Another thing, a very simple navigation. So that menu bar at the top, make it really, really clear. Just having your home, your about, your contact. You probably have only done those pages, but you want to, as you start to make more and more pages, make sure to keep that pretty concise. The next thing to keep in mind is a really strong call to action on every single page. This is what's going to direct the user journey. And so I would say design your website, make it look good, and then go in and say, okay, what buttons do I really need to do? So they're on their homepage. Where do you want them to go next? If it's a high ticket offer, they might not be ready to buy without getting to know you. So maybe you want them to go to your about page. So that's that big bold button you're having on the bottom that says, learn more about me. And then the other thing, best practice, is mobile optimization. So again, I'm going to flip over the screen, show you Squarespace just so you can see how incredibly easy it is to optimize your website for mobile. First of all, as you're designing, you can always click on this little mobile, and then that allows you to see what it looks like on a mobile device. So just like when you're on desktop, if you want to rearrange the photos or whatever, it's all drag and drop. It's the same thing on mobile. So anytime you're looking to edit something, you click edit, then you can just drag this exactly where you want it. If we go to mobile, again, you can drag it to be where you want it. The big thing when you're checking mobile is to make sure that things aren't covering, right? Because you can't see the copy or the things they need to fill out when it's overlapping an image. So that's primarily what you're doing on mobile, is just checking it over. Squarespace automatically does it, but they're not always perfect at it. So check it all over on mobile, make sure it looks good. Go into the SEO settings right here. If you go into that wheel of the page, and you go SEO, this is where you can add in your SEO title and your SEO description. So that's what you've already come up with, whether it's Nashville wedding photographers, your SEO title with your name or whatever. Put that in there. If you don't, search engines like Google will automatically pull what they think the SEO title is. And they're pretty good, but not perfect. So it's better for you to be able to control that. A few other tips that'll save you a lot of time in the long run is anytime you are adding in an image, make sure you resize it. You can use something like Tiny PNG to resize it. Make it 1 megabyte or less. I think Squarespace suggests 500 kilobytes. 1 megabyte or less won't slow down your website. And retitle the image, preferably prior to uploading it. You can also go into the image right here and change the file name. So this is me working on a computer and I'm a website designer. So maybe I want the something like that, if that's one of my keyword phrases. And then image alt text. This is what screen readers use. So make sure you're explaining what is in the image, but if you can also add in some phrases, that's preferable. So Squarespace website designer working or whatever. And then you want to click save when you're done with that. The other piece of advice that is so helpful is if you're like, oh, I love the way this section turned out and I want this section on my contact page. You can go to the section, click on the section that you like, and click this little heart icon. And now if you exit out and let's say we go to our about page and I want to add that section, you can go edit, add section, saved sections, and right there is that saved section. So it's a really great way to keep your website cohesive and just transfer over sections without having to recreate them every time. Another thing, if you have designed your homepage and you're like, this is perfect, it's exactly what I wanted it to look like. Now I want to do my about page, and maybe your about page isn't going to be as long, but you want to keep things cohesive. You can always duplicate the page by clicking on that settings wheel, scrolling down and clicking duplicate page. And then you will confirm that. And then you would change it to be about, or whatever that page is going to be. And then you can go in, if you don't need this many sections on your about page or whatever it is, you can just remove the sections you don't need. So that is going to save you a ton of time and make your website look cohesive. Again, if you want to style it, make it look different later on, you can always do that. But in the beginning, to get it out into the world, that's a way to do it very, very quickly. I wanted to keep this short and concise because you have a website to build. So if you want more of this and want to learn how to DIY a website in a weekend, join the free training I mentioned. We will learn all about how to get a website launched in just 3 days. You'll learn a little bit about branding. So how do you design a website that actually looks like you? People land on it and they're like, oh my goodness, that is 100% instant yearning. And then what does it take to build the website and go live with confidence? Ready to send ideal clients to your website. You don't want to be embarrassed of your website. And then finally, once you launch your website, how can you get those clients organically? So what does it look like to have an online presence that's doing the hard work for you so that you can stop posting on Instagram if you want? So if you want to learn more about that training, click below, and I look forward to seeing you in it.